about JavaScript arrays. If you have a list of items, a list of car names, for example, storing the cars in single variables could look like this. Let car 1 be Saab, let car 2 be Volvo, let car 3 be BMW. An array is a special variable which holds more than one value. And you see that const cars, we have Saab as part of these cars, Volvo as part of these cars, and BMW as part of these cars. If we were to put them in as single variables, they will look like this. Let car 1 be Saab, let car 2 be Volvo, let car 3 be BMW. However, what if you want to loop through the cars and find a specific one? And what if you had not 3 cars, but 300? The solution is an array. An array can hold many values under a single name, and you can access the values by referring to an index number. Creating an array. Using an array literal is the easiest way to create a JavaScript array. The syntax is const. The array name is assigned the array elements of which is in a square bracket. You have the elements as item 1, comma, item 2, comma, and any other number of items. It is commonplace to declare arrays with const keyword. All right. So, const cars, Saab, Volvo, and BMW. Spaces and line breaks are not important. A declaration can span multiple lines. Const cars is equal to this array. The square bracket opens up in the first line, in the same line as the declaration. Then you have your elements of the array in multiple lines, and then it closes finally in a separate line with the closing square bracket and a semicolon. You can also create an array and then provide the elements. So an array can be created, and then the elements can then be provided. Using the JavaScript keyword new, the following example also creates an array and assigns values to it. Const cars, new array, Saab, Volvo, BMW. The two examples above do exactly the same. There is no need to use new array. For simplicity, readability, and execution speed, use the array literal method. So these are the two methods of creating arrays. The array literal method and using the new keyword. Okay. How do you access elements of an array? Elements of an array are accessed by referring to their index number. Just like we've been studying, index starts from 0. So the first value has an index of 0. So when you say car 0, it's going to be giving you Saab. So this is going to be giving you Saab. Okay? All right. Car 0 is Saab. Car 1 is Volvo. All right. Array indexes starts with 0. 0 is the first element, 1 is the second element. Changing an array element, simply reassign. You reassign using the index number. So you say car 0 has been reassigned to Opel. It will change. When you call car 0, it will give you what? Opel. Let's try it. So car 0 was reassigned. Now when you call cars, it's giving you Opel, Volvo, BMW. All right. Converting an array to a string. An array can be converted to a string using toString. So it's just convert to a string, and this will be the result. Okay. All right. Using the fruits.toString method. When you want to access the full array, you call the name of the array. Arrays are objects. Arrays are a special type of objects. The type of operator in JavaScript returns object for arrays. But JavaScript arrays are best described as arrays. Arrays are numbers. Arrays use numbers to access its elements. In this example, person 0 returns John, person 1 returns Do, and person 3 returns 45. Objects use names to access its members. In this example, person.first name, person.second name, person.last name, person.age. So these are the name to value pair for objects, or property to value pair for objects. Array elements can be objects. JavaScript variables can be objects. Arrays are special kinds of objects. Because of this, you can have variables of different types in the same array. So we have date.now, we have my function, and we have my cars as properties of an array or items in an array. You can have objects in an array. You can have functions in an array. You can also have arrays in an array. Array properties and methods. Cars.length. The real strength of JavaScript arrays are the built-in array properties and methods. So we're going to be seeing some of them. We have cars.length, returns the number of elements in that array. We have cars.sort, it sorts the array whether in ascending or descending order. Array methods are covered in the next chapter. Let's talk about the length property. The length property of an array returns the length of an array, the number of array elements. So when you say fruits.length, it's going to give us 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to return 4 for us as the length of our array. Right. So you see, size returns 4 because size is assigned fruits.length. Okay. The length property is always one more than the highest array index. So the highest array index is always one lower than the length of your array. All right. Let's talk about accessing the first array element. You use first, you use the index number 0 to access the first element. When you want to access the last element, because the length of an array is 1 more than the index of the last element. To get the last element, you just say fruits.length minus 1. So because the length of this array is 1, 2, 3, 4, but the index is 0, 1, 2, 3. So the index value is always 1 less than the length of that array. So when you want to call the last element of an array, you call the length of that array minus 1. It will give you the value of the last element of that array. So fruits, whatever value we get after evaluation, will give us the last element. Evaluation here will give us 4 minus 1, which is 3. And the last element, the value of the index of the last element is 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Let's see how we can loop through arrays. Very important. How do we loop through arrays? We can use the for loop to loop through arrays. So here we have const fruits, banana, orange, apple, and mango. We say let flen be the length of our array, which is fruits.length. Then we say let text be the opening tag of your UL. And then we say for let I be 0, I less than flen, I plus plus, which means if I is 0, as far as I is less than the length, remember that flen is your length. Length here is 4. As far as I is less than 4, I iterate I. Increment I, remember your increment operator, plus plus. So what will be happening here is to have our text plus equal to, remember what is text plus equal to something? It means text is equal to text plus that thing. Okay, so it will keep adding to itself. Okay, so what we now have here is the li element and our fruits I. Okay, our fruits I is what iterates. Remember that we said I plus plus. So I will iterate multiple times as far as it meets this condition as I is less than 4. And then you have your closing li element, which means we'll be having list elements inside li elements. So text is plus equal to ul, which means it will keep adding to itself. This text here will keep adding to itself. So let's see how this works. So you see that this simply goes through our array and returns each of our array. This is really, really nice. Okay. All right. So we can also do this using the for each loop. When we use our array for each function, we can also achieve that. We can say fruits.forEach my function. Okay. Remember that my function is the argument, and my function has a value. The value it gets is what it is going to use. What is the value of my function? The value of my function is coming from here because our array acts as an object. So the value of our object is what comes, which is banana, orange, apple, and mango. Okay? All right. Now, adding array elements. You use your push. We have what to call fruits.push. When I want to add an element to my array, I use my push method. Okay? This is a method to add an array. New elements can also be added to an array using the length property. We'll come to that. Let's talk about the push method. Okay? So when I use the push method, I add lemon into this array. So push will add a new element at the end of your array. All right. I can also use the length property by saying fruits.length is assigned lemon. So which means fruits.length, which means 4. There is now an extra. Remember that your array length is always higher, one bigger than your index, the highest index. Okay, which means there was never an element or an element in this array that had a value of index value of 4. So when you now assign 4 to lemon, it means that a new value has been taken. But they said adding elements with high indexes can create undefined holes in an array. So this guy is going to create an undefined hole. So it is wrong to use values like this. Okay, all right. Associative arrays. Many programming languages support arrays with named indexes. Arrays with named indexes are called associative arrays or hashes. JavaScript does not support arrays with named indexes. In JavaScript, arrays always use numbered indexes. All right. But some programming languages like PHP accept arrays, associative arrays. If you use named indexes, JavaScript will redefine the array to an object. After that, some array methods and properties will produce incorrect results. What's the difference between an array and an object? What's the difference between an array and an object? In JavaScript, arrays are numbered indexes. In JavaScript, objects are named indexes. That's just it. Arrays are a special kind of objects with numbered indexes. When do I use an array? JavaScript does not support associative arrays. You should use objects when you want the element names to be strings or text. You should use arrays when you want the element names to be numbers. So when you want your element names to be numbers, you use arrays. When you want your element names to be strings or text, you use objects. JavaScript's new array method. There's a built-in array constructor called new array, but you can simply use this square bracket instead. Okay, it's always better to use the square bracket. These two statements both create new arrays containing 6 numbers. Okay, the new keyword can produce some unexpected results. That's why we don't use the new keyword. Okay, how do we recognize an array? The common question is, how do I know if a variable is an array? The problem is that JavaScript operator type of returns object. Because fruits, banana, orange, apple, this is an array, but the type of will return an object. How do we solve this problem? When you use type of to check if this fruits is what type of data type is this fruits, is returning object, but it is an array. How do we fix this issue? Solution 1. To solve this problem, ECMAScript 5, JavaScript 2009 redefined or defined a new method called array is array. So when you say array dot is array fruits, you see what it will return. It's going to return true. So that's one beautiful way to check if a particular variable is an array. Instance of operator. Fruits instance of array. It was created to return true if an object is created by a given constructor. So if an array, if fruit is an instance of an array, it will return true. We have nested arrays and objects. Values in objects can be arrays, and values in arrays can be objects. Okay? Alright. So to access arrays inside arrays, use a for in loop for each array. So when you want to access arrays inside an array, you use a for in loop for each array. So something like this: for let I in object.cars. Can you see that? Let J in object.cars.models. Here, object.cars.what? Name. Here, object.cars.models. So here you say object.cars.models. Let's try it and see. So can you see? For each of them, this is what we call the for in loop. For in loop. So it will return for each of the properties, Ford, BM, and Fiat. For each of them, what are their models? So we have for let I in object my object.cars. Who is my object.cars? Look at it. I in my object.cars. X plus equal object.cars I.name. I hope you're following. Object.cars I.models. Object.cars I.models. So it gets the names and then gets the models. And you see, this is the part that gets the names. Okay, this is the part that gets the names, while this is the part that gets the models. All right. So complete array references will be seen subsequently when you click on this link. Okay. So that's it. What's happening here is we say let I be. Let's look at this again. So remember, your plus equal to means x is equal to x plus whatever. I hope you're following on. So x will always iterate. Okay. So we have 3 items there. So it will call the first guy, call every detail for it, call the second guy, call every detail for it. So who is the first guy? Ford. It will call Ford. My object.cars1.name. So it will call Ford, which is the name cars I.name, and then let J in my object.cars I.model. So it will call the object in I.models J. So for Ford, it will call its models. For BMW, it will call its models. For Fiat, it will call its models. Notice the importance of this particular operator. Remember this operator. Go back to your operator and see your plus equal operator. Okay. See you guys in the next tutorial. The next tutorial will be talking about array methods. Some other array methods we've mentioned. We've seen some array methods like your. We've seen some array methods here. Your length and your sort are some of the array methods that we saw, and we'll be seeing more array methods in the next array properties and methods. So we'll be seeing some of them in the next tutorial. All right. Thank you for watching. See you.